now.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Thank you so much for joining our webinar. We're very happy to be here and to explain what our next products are about. Well, I'm Andrea. I'm from marketing, and I would like to introduce to my colleagues Alexander Hestad. He's a product marketing manager for Kubernetes and serverless, and Victor Ramiro, which is the lead product manager IASIS. And if you have any questions or doubts, like you know that there's a chat there that you can like ask your questions and like feel like to write anything or share with us. Of course, after the event, you're going to receive a replay of the webinar. And yes, basically, welcome everyone. Alexander?
Yeah. Yes, hello everyone. So I'm Alexander, just Andrea introduced me. Thank you for the introduction. I'm a PMM product marketing on Kubernetes and serverless, and we'll do the presentation today about our new product. And I see Brice, first question just coming up. Why in English? Why in English? Because we have a client overall in Europe, so we speak English to address to as many people as possible. But feel free to ask your question in the chat. Is a good example. We want to have this event as interactive, so don't be shy. You can say hi. It would be nice to have you some interaction.
Yeah, and we take questions in English, French, and Spanish. So
sure.
No worries for us.
Victor, would you like to introduce you as well?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. So I'm Victor. I am the lead product manager for infrastructure as a service. So basically dealing with, as you know, instances, bare metal, network products, and block storage. So happy to be here to share a little bit of what were our new launches on Q3 and which will be the things that are coming next. So yeah, feel free to drop any question on the chat. There are some polls that are happening during while we present. And if things are not clear, don't hesitate. We're here to share this information with you and happy to interact.
Sure. So today we're going to highlight you our new products, what we have done on the last quarter, or maybe furthermore. But yeah, for today we're going to do a quick tour on our last update, as I just mentioned, and we want to highlight you how we can use these new products, these new things, to create some use case. And we want to show you that with some diagram videos. So it's not just about the product, it's how it interacts together. So it will be the second point. And then some teasing about what will be next at Scaleway, what's coming up. So there's the three main things you're going to learn today with this webinar. So it will be like that. On the first tour, on the update, on a list, I will list every update and what is new at Scaleway. Secondly, it will be the first use case would be about reliability, how to improve your infrastructure reliability. The second use case would be on build a scalable workload, how to scale with our new things we have put in place. And third but not least, the best practices in security, because it's always good to remind you the good practices you could put in place with our ecosystem. I think that's the time where we do a small pool between these three use cases. It could be interesting to know which one is most interesting for you, and you have much more interest on maybe on one of them.
Maybe just tease that on the first one we are talking more about like regular architectures, web services, and with load balancers and stuff like that. The scalable workload will be more about Kubernetes and the way how we use Capsule. And the third one will be a little bit about IAM, security manager, and how to put security on your development and production environments.
Indeed. Thanks, Victor, for precision. But first, we need to do a short tour on Scaleway because some of you actually don't know us. We have to do some presentation. So Scaleway is basically a cloud provider to help developers to host their application, to build, deploy, and scale all the applications and services with us on our infrastructure. So we are typically a good cloud provider for businesses, for startups and developers. We are a French company, as you can hear with my accent, but an European one as well. We master the entire stack from the data center to the software. So we build everything on our own with a lot of help of open source, of course, but we master the whole stack. We have more than 25,000 clients all over Europe on the many more countries, approximately 160 countries represented at Scaleway as a client. And we own 9 data centers in France, in Holland, and in Poland, which makes us a cloud provider with 3 regions. Each region has 3 AZ, so it makes 9 data centers. In, as I say, in France, Poland, and Holland. It's precisely in Warsaw, in Amsterdam, and in Paris that we have our data center. Typically, our public cloud offer is quite large. We have more than 40 services, 40 products, among serverless, compute, managed database. We have some bare metal connected to the public cloud as well, some network products for the connectivity, some dev tools as well to help you to deploy quickly. So that's all our stack, and as you can see, we have many projects to come and to improve. And that's the topic of today, so that's a good thing. That's exactly the topic of today. So what is new? We're going to the topic, what is new and what we have done so far. So to be very precise, we opened actually in July and August 2 new regions. Actually, we already had some presence in Amsterdam and Warsaw, but we built a third not build, but we open a third AZ. So now we have 3 full regions with 3 AZ, and that's very good to build a very resilient and reliable infrastructure, as you can take advantage of each region to spread your resources between the different AZ in the same region. Linked to that, we've built the VPC. We call it VPC here, multi-AZ, but it's a VPC connected between each region. You can have a VPC that be connected between the AZ. So basically, a VPC, it's a virtual private cloud, which is actually a subset of private network in a region. That allow you to secure quickly your instances. You can have your instances, your Elastic Metal server, managed database, on the stack as well of connectivity, load balance and public gateway. Kubernetes capsule is as well inside this VPC. We directly configure, and we have also inside this VPC the DHCP. So it's very easy to configure your network and put your new instances. We have less configuration to do. Another things we have put in production is the production instances for managed database in SQL. So when you have production workload, it's you don't want to have your database going down or have some latencies or being slow. So it's a very good opportunity to improve the performance of your database and have production instances. So that's a new range of instances available for your managed database. Then we have a private load balancer, which means that you can now have inside your VPC, inside your private network, have a load balancer without public IP, which means that you only do load balancing inside your virtual private cloud. Could be interesting, like for in front of your database, which is secure inside your VPC. You maybe have a lot of workload coming in and you don't want to expose it directly. So you can have a private load balancer for that. Then we have two new private beta, serverless SQL database. When you don't want to manage anything about the underlying infrastructure, it's a good idea to use this SQL database. You just pay by the usage. So when no one is requesting your database, you don't pay, and you only pay when a request is coming, and then it shuts it down. Another thing is API gateway. The API gateway will help you to expose your API and to have a common interface for your application. And that's a new private beta. That's a try at Scaleway. We want to see how it can help you to have a good API management. So feel free to register to this private beta. You can find the link on the beta page on the Scaleway website if you like. So that's for the product part. Now we can have a look on the features part. Features mean like that product already exists, but we improve them. First, it's the cockpit integration. Our observability tool now have a new metrics from Capsule, Secret Manager, Object Storage. And that's a running project because we improve cockpit every week, every month. You have new metrics for some products are already there. That's a very good thing if you have to look after the performances about some metrics, some logs that could be very interesting for your compliance or for the security reason. I don't know. There is many things to watch on cockpit, and there is a good free tier available for cockpit. So feel free to open it, and it's very easy to configure. Dedicated control plane for Kubernetes Capsule. It's an API server. We have a free plan on a mutualized instances and the dedicated control plane, which allow you to scale and have better performance for your cluster on Kubernetes. You have 3 different sizes from 4 GB of memory to 16. If you have very heavy, intensive workload in production, it's a good option to consider. Furthermore, there is some SLA on this dedicated control plane, so it's a guarantee to have a good environment in production. The next thing is our red replica in multi-AZ. As you can see, we have more AZ now, so we take advantage of this capacity for our managed database. So with your managed database in SQL, if you want to have a red replica in another AZ for security reason or reliability reason, you can now do that in another AZ. And at the end, we have now for serverless container the capacity to trigger them with an event, which could be whatever you want, but can trigger directly a container and the container will start on a serverless basis. That will help you to launch any container very easily. So if you have anything like catch your ear, like you think very interesting, feel free to mention it in our pool. You will have a pool to say what is the most excited product you are looking for. You have seen in the list. Otherwise, now we're going to go to our first use case about reliability. And I think it's Victor who is going to present you.
Yeah, thank you. So it's fun. I'm looking at the pool and I see that we are tied between improved infrastructure reliability and best practices on security. So that's good news. We're starting with the thing that brings the most information about our new launches. So yeah, let's go dive in.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's a little bit dense. I will try to explain you. There is a diagram later and then the video of the demo, because there are many things happening here, so we don't have the time to go through the whole details. But basically, let's just imagine that we want to have a reliable service deployed to expose a web server, right? So for the demo, we are using WordPress as a service. So let's say that you have your website running on this, and what you want to do is to be sure that if the service will be running all the time, right? So the things that you need to be sure that things are running are having replicas. Okay, so basically we will on this example, what we will see is that we will use a load balancer to split the traffic between two different instances that are running. Okay, the important thing now is that these instances are running in different ACID. Why? Because we're in the same region, but we want to be in different availability zones, because just to avoid if there is a network problem or whatever in one of those, your service is still running because you are in different geographical places. So increasing reliability comes with this thing. And the new important thing that is happening now is that you are using your database, and we will be using a new POP2 managed database. Why? Because as Alexander said, this new offer is focused on production. This means that you have instances with a lot of more memory, right? So you can actually exploit more use cases where they will be adapted for. And the next step that you want is that you want to have reliability, but you also want to have security, right? So we will be putting all this on the same VPC. And this is new as well, because at the moment we had private networks which were scoped to one availability zone. Now with the VPC, we can privately connect things that are on different ACIDs in the same region. So these are basically all the things that are new that we will be putting here in this demo. So just a little bit of explanation. We will set up this, creating the database, creating the instances to run the WordPress. We will also need to create the VPC with the private network at each ACID, and a public gateway to communicate with them to enter to the instances. We will deploy then the WordPress. So what are we doing here in the video that we will show? It's a little bit interesting, because we will create one instance in Amsterdam 1, and we will create a snapshot that we then transfer to Amsterdam 3 in order to pop a new instance using the same snapshot. So like that, you have two exact replicas of the same WordPress running. We will need to create the load balancer to drop the request to both of those, and then set up the WordPress connection behind, right? And in the end, the new thing that also Alexander was sharing with us was the backup in multi-ACID replicas. So that is also something that we will see in order to be sure that if there is a problem with the database, we have an extra security, so more reliability in the other ACID. So next slide, please. So this is a little bit the architecture here. So as I said, we have one load balancer that will be taking all the traffic, and it will be splitting this in two different instances, okay? Those instances are in different availability zones. So this is the new thing. How does this work? It's because all of those things are in the same VPC, and VPCs are regional. So this is great, really easy to configure. You can use your own IPs, or you can use the integrated DHCP. Really, really easy to use. You just plug all the things on the private network inside those VPC, inside the VPC, and communications are happening magically. So that's what's on this picture here, right? So there is the regional private network communicating internally, privately, those different instances with the database, which is a database that also have the red replica. Okay, so that's it for the diagram. Let's go into the video that explains a little bit more on detail. Okay, so it goes really fast. We will pause the video sometimes to see better, right? So too fast, Alex. So the first thing that we want to do is create this new managed database, POP2. So production optimized. As I said, you can see there that there is more. It goes really fast, but you have a ratio of CPU RAM 1:4. So it means that you have more RAM, which makes it great to deploy production workloads. Then we will create the public gateway, the VPC, and the private network inside those VPCs. So that's happening here. The gateway, we use it to SSH to have access to those instances. So it's really fast. Now we will create the instance, which is also a production, a workload optimized. And as you see there, we are removing, can you pause, please? We remove the flexible IP because those instances are private. They are connected to the VPC and not exposed publicly. Why? Because also we have the load balancer, which will be taking the charge to do things. And here, well, we just, this is a demo. So in the cloud init, we take advantage to install WordPress, just like that. So basically, installing all the things that are needed with apt-get and then just downloading the latest version. Okay, so now we are attaching the instance to the private network. So this is Amsterdam 1. And as I said, the VPC allows to communicate things between Amsterdam 1, Amsterdam 2, and Amsterdam 3. Okay, so now we're just popping the load balancer in Amsterdam 1, which will also be attached. And we use the DHCP. So this is great because we don't need to set up any IPs here, right? So this is the new thing. We used to have a DHCP with the public gateway, but now you don't need to have a public gateway. Of course, you can do it because it's a good security option, right? But the DHCP is regional. So all your instances, all the things that you are resources that you are attaching to the VPC are having IPs in the same network. This is great. So let's create, we created the database. What will happen here is we will set up this. Let's go. Okay, so we are configuring now the database on WordPress. So this is happening in one instance, right? In the MS1. So now pause, please. So basically we set up WordPress in one of the instances, right? This is in Amsterdam 1. And now we take advantage of the snapshot feature and also the fact that we can import this in the other ACID. So we will just create a new instance on Amsterdam 3, taking what was the snapshot done of the instance in Amsterdam 1. Like this, we have two identical instances. Let's go. And of course, this works because all the configurations are done using DHCP. So you don't need to go and set up any IP inside of your network, of your instance. So yeah, we create the snapshot. We are moving it to Amsterdam, to a bucket. And then from the bucket, we use it to create the new instance. Okay. So that's import. We create a new instance now, POP2 in Amsterdam 3, and we take the snapshot we just created. Like that, we attach it to the private network because, again, it doesn't have any IP, public IP. So all those things are hidden inside of our VPC and are able to communicate because regional VPC. So now we had created the load balancer. Let's configure the backends. For that, we need to get which are the IPs that the instances had. So for the backend, we just create that configuration. This is also, it's from a little bit. Now we can configure our load balancer in with more strategies. So here we will use the least connection. The idea is that you are splitting your traffic and trying to keep balance between both ACIDs. So that's it. We create the backend. It's pause. Yeah. So we just set up the load balancer.
Backup is created and now the health check.
Yeah. So just configure the health check to know that the backends are there. We create a front end that exposes the service in the 80 port. And now the last thing that we said we will do. So just at that moment, we have everything running. Okay, so if you access the load balancer, it will split your traffic between the two instances that are not exposed to the internet directly, but using the load balancer. And all the communications to the database is happening through the regional VPC. So two instances which are in different availability zones are able to connect to the original database. So this is great. No, as you see, no pain into the configuration because we don't handle the APs manually. Everything is done with the DHCP. And the last thing that we wanted to do is to have this, to showcase the backup service, which now we have the red replicas with. So let's see that. To increase reliability to the maximum, so we just create a red replica here, and we can choose multi-ACID. So this is the new thing. And for that, also attached to the private network, and that's it. Really easy, really simple. Now you have an architecture that is really reliable, and you have your WordPress that is running. Okay, so that's it. If there are questions, I can answer on the chat. And we can continue, Alex, with the next use case.
Yes. So I hope it was interesting. So now we're going to the second use case. It's about to build a scalable workload. So for that, we're going to use a Kubernetes capsule, to use a Kubernetes capsule dedicated control plane, take advantage of Cockpit and our serverless function. And by the way, we deploy with our Terraform and use the API as well. So what we want to do here is to be sure that our cluster is always at the good state in function of our demand. As we start with a normal cluster, we want to go to higher, I don't know how to say that, but production environment, like a high demanding environment for where you can have a lot of connection, a lot of demand on your cluster. And we want to automatize this change of state. So the different step will be from creating a Kubernetes capsule, having a cluster via Terraform, then configure all the things you need to do to have autoscaling, so horizontal pod autoscaler on our cluster autoscaler. We'll watch all our metrics inside Cockpit, set up some alerts and link these alerts to a function that will trigger the change of our cluster state to a dedicated control plane. So we will do that with a video. If we want to have a look on how the story will be on a diagram, it will look like that. Here I have my Kubernetes capsule with my control plane here in the center, with my pod and worker node. We imagine we have more and more demand, so my control plane will start some new worker node, some new pods. They are coming up, they are spawning, and I can see that normally I can see in Cockpit that my control plane has more and more stress, more and more CPU and memory usage, and at the moment it will trigger an alert which will trigger a function. So this function, what is going to do is going to call the Scaleway API to change the control plane status to a new dedicated control plane, which will have more memory and more CPU to handle the growing demand. And during this use case, we're going to see at the end that the metrics of our control plane will be much better. So that's time now to have a look directly. We'll do it with a video. I think the video is actually better. It's more easy. We're going faster, but you can. We share with you as well the video at the end of the webinar if you would like to have a look. So on this one, we start with a new cluster called auto-scaling. So we know our cluster is spawning. Among the market, we are among the fastest to spawn a new cluster. And here we have it's our kubeconfig. We have our cluster ready with one replica. So we're going to settle our horizontal pod autoscaler and to use a tool as well to to simulate a peak of traffic, which would be, it's called a load generator. So it will deploy 10 more replica to simulate a peak of traffic on our cluster. So we'll have more and more pods coming up with this tool. It's a BusyBox image. I don't know if you know about it, but yeah, it's an image. It simulates this high demanding environment. And then we have another tool. So we see here in the video that our CPU is increasing, the target is reached. And then we'll use another tool called KubeBurner to stress the API server. Because we stress here like the spawning of new pods on worker nodes, and now we want to stress directly the function, the job they have to do a new they have to do API server. So KubeBurner is it's actually a tool that will create a secret, create a new pod, config map, many things that will stress our control plane. And after that, so we launch this process, and behind that, we will have a look on the observability tool cockpit to see how it reacts to this simulation. So we have our cluster here. We're going to refresh inside the video. We have many different metrics, but the most important one are the CPU usage and the memory usage. As you can see, we have here one CPU and 4 GB limits for our cluster. There is many different metrics that you can have a look. You can enjoy it after the webinar if you want to have a look for your cluster. And now the interesting part, you have the possibility to settle some alerts, and we have settled two alerts. One alert is the CPU when the usage is above 80%, and the other one is the memory usage when it's above 60%. These alerts are linked with a serverless function, which is a Python function that's going to upgrade our cluster, calling the API of Scaleway to a new type. Here we can see just at this here, capsule dedicated 8 GB. It's going to upgrade when it's triggered. So we have still our process running, and we're going to refresh to see the new metrics. So we see here we reach the limit of our CPU. We are now at 100%. The memory is still okay, but we managed with our KubeBurner tool to stress our API server. If we go back to the alerts, after 3 minutes, the alert is fired, and then we can directly see the interaction with the function, and our cluster name autoscaling has changed to a new state of dedicated control plane with 8 GB. So it has worked basically. Now it's interesting to watch directly inside our cockpit environment, see if the metrics are better. And if we stop here, we see that right now we have new limits. We have a new cluster with a new ID. The limit is not 1 CPU anymore, and we have 8 GB in memory of RAM. So we see that we managed to change automatically the state of our control plane with just only using cockpit and serverless function. So that's the kind of automation we wanted to show you, to highlight how we can do that and help to host high demanding workload. So that's it for me. I hope it was interesting and useful for your use case as well. Maybe you have some idea, some automation you can do by yourself on your infrastructure. So that's what we've done right now. So now we're going to have a look on the best practices on security. We have some tools from this year which can help you to have a better security, and Victor is going to present you this use case right now.
Yeah, thank you. So just great demo, because what we're seeing here is that Scaleway push forward the ecosystem, right? So you can do stuff by yourself, but using all of our products. So observability with cockpit, serverless functions, and tightening all that together to help to improve your capsule, right? So this is kind of the stuff that you can do in integrated ecosystem. And that's why we also push forward the VPC, because with the DHCP, you can attach stuff and have gains on reliability and security. And this is the stuff that was core for our for this year. So now let's focus on some best practices on security. So it will be an example based on what we usually do when we are developing and we want to go fast, right? So we just create resources and they are there and we enter them and everybody has the key to go inside, right? So let's imagine that we have an initial situation where we have production servers and also development servers. So it's just 3 instances that are running, and we have people accessing those, right? So usually DevOps are running and connecting to those instances to deploy new services or, to fix whatever is broken. And the way to do it is to have an access. So let's imagine that we are using SSH keys here. So we just SSH to the machine, and that's it. So this is usually what we do to start, to bootstrap something. The problem is that there are many issues on security here, right? So sharing one key is not a good idea, because you can get yourself into the wrong machine, and you think you are connected to the development server, but you are actually on the production server and you break something, right? Also because people will share this, and sharing means possibility to be lost or stolen, and people could have access to those informations. So the idea here is that let's figure out how we use all of the stuff in our ecosystem to make it better, right? So there are new things, and the products that we will be using here will be VPC for the internal security. As we said, usually what we want is to have instances that are not directly exposed to the internet. Since sometimes we need to connect to the servers using SSH, we will use the public gateway with the SSH bastion to do that. So we only have one entry point that we can control with access list. And we will be using IAM and the secret manager. So IAM allows you to create specific policies with a specific, saying which resources will be used or you are able to use for a specific group of users. And we will use the secret manager to store those credentials, okay? So the scenario will be, we will create projects to segregate those environments. That's the first step. Inside those projects, we will have a VPC that will allow you to isolate the network. And then we will store information on the secret manager, and we will create specific IAM rights for the specific environments, okay? The idea is to reduce the attack surface, also increase the availability, and ensuring that things are happening with the good practice. Okay, Alexandre, can you change slide, please? So what does it look like? Again, to the left, what we had at the beginning. So just one place where we had our 3 instances exposed and accessible by anyone. So developers and also the end users are accessing those. The idea would be to go through the right. So again, using many of our integrations in the ecosystem. So first thing, as I said, splitting the 2 environments in 2 projects. Okay. Why is that? It's because like this, we can create specific IAM policies for those different projects. And like that, we will be able to say that the developers only have access to the development project. And inside there, you have your VPC with the public gateway, which will allow you to jump into the instance. Okay. And to expose the service, again, what we recommend to use is the load balancer, because like this, you can scale up if needed. Even for your development project, because what you want to have is like the closest in terms of ease of functionality between the development environment and your production environment, okay? And given the fact that now in the production environment, we have 2 instances running, well, we need to have a load balancer in order to split the traffic between those, okay? So now if we focus on the production project, again, VPC, so instances are private. They don't have direct access to internet. We have the public gateway that allows us to jump using SSH and exposing the services using HTTPS. So in both cases, we do that because now the load well, not now, but with the load balancer, you can use a certificate, and that's also something that we want because it increases the security for the end users. And as you see on this new diagram to the right, on the dev project, only developers have access because they share a SSH key to access. But to the production environment, there is another SSH key, which is only handled to the specific production administrator group. So they have only they have the right to enter this production environment, and like this, increasing the security of your system. So now let's go to the video, please. Again, it will be a little bit fast, but let's try to follow it. So we just show at the beginning that we have this mess. Basically, you have 3 different instances there, production and development environments. We will copy and paste the IP addresses. So as you see, they are exposing HTTP servers. And now if we enter to this instances using SSH, we can do it directly because they have a public IP address, right? So just SSH, we have a SSH key in our computer. And as you see, we just enter to that instance and we lost the video. Yeah, so that was the first instance where we just SSH to that one. And then we see that we are in the development instance, and now we SSH to a second instance, which is the production. So we just copy paste that IP, and you see that we also have access, right? That's why it's because we have only one key that is being used for those. So let's fix that. How to do it? Again, building blocks. So your building block here is the VPC, the project. We are not creating 2 projects, they are already existing, but let's continue. So let's just pick up on the project, we will create a VPC. Why? Because we don't want to expose the instances. So we take out the public IPs of those instances that are existing. That's it. And we attach the instances to the VPC. We create a public gateway for the SSH bastion. So we are just creating one, and we will attach it to the VPC as well. Small mistake, and that's it. Now we have the public gateway, and we can attach it. That's it. We attach that to the same VPC, and that's it. We can now go to the gateway and activate the bastion. Like this, we use the bastion to jump into the instances. Again, you have the configuration, just copy paste into your configuration files. Like this, you don't need to write the whole address. You can just jump into the instance with the name. And now the interesting part, again, what we want to do is create these policies to allow only specific actions for the users in a specific group, right? So we go to identity and access management for one specific project. So here we have product demo dev. We will create a group there, which is developers. We don't attach the policy because we want to create one specific for the demo, but there are already some policies that are existing, so you can use one of the templates or create your new one. So this is the part where we are creating for this group. We are creating a policy group. So we take compute, we add some access. Can you pause, please? It goes really fast. So basically what we're doing there is creating one policy group where we will give access to instance access to secret manager. Those are the things that we want to showcase here, right? So basically for the developers, we will attach this policy that gives only access to those resources and not the whole thing. So again, security is about restricting at maximum and opening the small things that you want to use. So it's completely the opposite of having just one instance exposed to the internet. So now that we have the developers group, we have the policy created, we attach them both, we will create one user for the developers group. So basically send the invitation. And since this new developer doesn't have the SSH key, now we will create a secret. So like that, this person can come and retrieve the secret from our secret manager. So here, basically, it's really easy. Just choose where you want to create, and you can import the secret. In this case, it's the private SSH key. So like this new developer can just use that in order to access to the SSH bastion and then the developer environment. The last part of the demo is to configure now the load balancer, but for our production environment. So here, again, really fast, we'll just put the load balancer and configure backends. Really easy with the new DHCP because we just need to put there the IPs. Those IPs are in the VPC. There you have DHCP set up the IP. And soon we will just need to put the name there, but coming soon. That's it. We configured the backend with the two different instances, and now attach the load balancer to the private network in order to be on the same network so they can talk in private and expose the production environment on the AT. And that's it. So that's basically all the things that you can do with our tools to increase the security of your environments. And as you see, again, the ecosystem is key because you can make things work together really easy. Next slide, please. So I think we are finished with the demo. So what's next? Let's tease a little bit. So we have new things coming. So basically here we wanted to share with you some stuff that is arriving in Q4 this year and Q1 next year. So next 6 months. And there are some news which are just dropped in the late, this week and the previous weeks. So basically stuff that is new that you have access right now is messaging and queuing. So all those services, NATs, SQS, SNS. And we just launched the GPU H100. As you see, also a new instance there, so you can play with all your AI models. And those are available in general availability right now. And things that are coming, a lot of new offers in hardware that we are expecting. So the ones that you know, Dedivox, Elastic Metal for bare metal, also Apple Silicon, new offers. And also we will increasing some instances. So For Dedibox, it's maybe something that you haven't heard, but it's a very loved product that we have, and a lot of people is asking for new versions. So we heard that, and we are adding new hardware to Dedibox as well. So that's great news for all those users. Also new things, block storage low latency with improved IOPS capacities. Object storage multi-ACID. So we have this in Paris now, and we're expanding it to Amsterdam and Warsaw. So people can just drop their data in the object storage, and it will be replicated. And like that, you are safe to keep always access to your data. As we saw, we have regional VPC. So it's a new thing. When you have different private networks there, maybe you want to add a little bit of control, because now it's really plug and play, everything works. And if you want to go fine-grained control this, we're adding routing and network access lists, so the VPC will be even more secure. And on the serverless side, things that are coming is serverless jobs and serverless SQL databases. So basically, including new things in order to help you to grow with the serverless ecosystem. So for instance, what we show in the second demo, where we had to write a little bit of code, that will be soon, could be done soon with a serverless job as well. So that's it for the launches coming soon. And I think, Andrea, the next one is for you.
Yes, thank you so much, Alexandra and Victor, and everyone for coming. We're going to share on the chat the next webinars. On the 24th, on Tuesday, we're going to do like the Enhance Your Cloud Journey with Scaleway Ultimate Dedicated Servers, where our team will walk you through all the features and capabilities of our Dedibox servers. And then on the Thursday, 26th, the webinar, Why Adopt Green IT and How. The speakers will discuss effective solutions and case studies on how to be more sustainable. So all the information it's on the chat. And of course, if you have any more questions about this webinar, feel free to write it down. We're here for you to answer all your questions and doubts. And of course, you're going to receive the replay of the webinar and the 3 videos of the 3 case studies. And Colleen is typing. No, thank you for coming, Colin.
Yeah, thank you very much. I hope all those new products show you guys that we work hard to make grow our ecosystem, and that we love to work with all of our users. So usually we have a beta test, so don't hesitate to register. We also do a lot of discovery, so we are always looking for people to come and play with us and get some insights on how do you use our services, which is missing, which are the pain points, and also have the community. So feel free to reach us in any of those channels.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And yeah, we'll keep you posted about our next product releases and webinars. Well, no, Patrick, it's okay. Thanks. Thank you, Patrick.
If you have any question, feel free. I hope you loved the new format with some use case highlighting our product. It was a new test for us.
Colin is typing. Cool.
Yeah, cool.
We like it.
It's fast. It's a challenge for us because there are many things happening and we don't know how much knowledge do you have of our console. But the good thing is, as we said, we're sharing all these videos with you, so you can replay it in slow motion and get a look at it. And again, if you have any questions about this, don't hesitate. The community Slack is there, so we'll be answering questions if needed. Yeah. All of our loved PMs and PMs are happy to do that.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Have a good day. Bye.
Colin is typing. Okay. Bye.
Bye, Colin. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.